Hey, hello, what's happening? I want to jump into this. Hang on, let me clear my throat. Excuse me. What's happening, man? You doing all right? I'm doing pretty good. I'll tell you, I'll just jump right into it. Truth, right? Truthiness. So I was having a conversation with my friend and my friend Adam, and we were talking about people's interpretations of reality. And the reality is that my headphones are distracting me because my voice is delayed right now. Hang on, let me take these things off. The reality is, excuse me, we were talking about the difference in reality between two people, and he wasn't saying that there's more than one truth, right? People say, oh, there's so many different kinds of truths. There's this truth and there's that truth, and there's the truth that they sell at the store, and there's the truth that you get from your mom, and there's the truth that you have in your pants. The truth, I was saying that if there's two people are arguing, one of them has to be closer to the truth than the other. Right? I'm not saying that one of them is absolutely telling the whole truth, not that they're lying, but being close to what is true. But then you can get into like all subjective, like, well, what is true, man? Like, what is really like true? Like, you know, like, isn't everything like just subjective, man? Like, it's just your interpretation of whatever it is. You know, I'm going to use that line like when somebody's coming to collect money from me. I'm going to be like, well, I don't really owe you the money, man. Like, it's just like my interpretation. Your interpretation is that I owe you money. But what is money? Like, money is not even real. Like, what is, you know? So the thing is, you and I have an agreement, and we came to that agreement, and then like me and the guy that I owe money to, let's say, for example, I don't owe anybody money, but I'm just saying, we have an agreement. He said, hey man, I loaned you $50. I borrowed $50, and that was our agreement, right? And it was pretty cut and dry. Then I can go and be like, well, I don't really, like, what is 50, dude? Like, 50 is just a number. Like, you know, and where am I going here? The thing that I was saying was that somebody is closer to the truth than another person. If two people are discussing like what is true and what is not, or what reality is. So another case in point is you know, the problems that I have in my relationship. We have different interpretations of truth. It's come up in my counseling sessions once or twice, and I was like, whoa, hang on a second. And I was trying to establish, right, that there is something, if the other person or me, doesn't matter who it is saying something, one of those people is closer to the truth than the other one, right? I wasn't saying it's me, I wasn't saying it's her, I'm saying one of those people is closer to the truth. So what do you think? Do you believe that or not? Right? Or do you go down the route of like, well, what is really true, man? Like, do you go down that route? Because then I was thinking, I reached a fork in the road with that perhaps there could be people, like species of people, like races of people. Not that race is necessarily real. It's kind of all about how you look, right? But species, let's say there was different species of people concerning their personalities. So the fork in the road is, are there different species of people that I can speak with and connect with, that I will and they will agree, oh yes, this is true, and it'll more or less be in the ballpark? And then there's other species of people that I'll say something and it'll just there'll be a valley between us. It'll be a total disconnect. So I entertain that idea because it seems that way sometimes, although it seems kind of a crazy idea to think that there's different species of people. But if you think about it, like around the house right now here, me and my spouse, we're still living together. That's going to change soon because I don't know if you listened to the last podcast, but we split up. But around here, I hear a lot of, let's say, people who are into using words like holding space for someone. You know, you have to hold a space for like that, or showing up for yourself. Like these catchphrases that are in right now, and then they're not going to be in like in 6 months, because in 6 months, everybody's going to be saying them, and then you can't sell them to people anymore. So you have to come up with a new catchphrase. The thing is, with these catchphrases, if they actually worked as some sort of a tool, which I'm sure they do for some people, but if they actually worked as some sort of a tool, wouldn't the catchphrases of 6 months ago and the catchphrases of 6 months before that and the catchphrases of 6 months before that, wouldn't they have solved the issues? Wouldn't those have been the ones? No, because really at the foundation of where we live in a capitalist system. And I'm not here to like talk about capitalism and communism and socialism, but at the foundation, we live in a capitalist system, and ultimately everything is based off of that. And it's very, very difficult to break away from that, and you can never break away from it fully, because that is our truth, in the sense that is how we communicate when everything else fails. When everything else fails and you go to court and you pay some money, and that's your communication. You say, hey, yes to this, or no to that. What I mean by that is it's not subjective. Like numbers are not subjective. Are they, man? Maybe numbers. What are numbers, dude? Isn't the word numb in numbers, dude? Like, you know, like numbness? Excuse me. I'm sorry. So, I think that there is a truth, what is the word? Objective truth? I think there is a truth. I think that, you know, if I put my hand on a hot stove, it's going to be hot and it's going to burn, and I'll move my hand away. And there's nothing subjective about that. So money isn't the only thing that's subjective, although it's one of the most, numbers are the most difficult thing to FUD, right? You can FUD numbers by framing them in a certain way, like doing statistics and coming up with an argument. But if there are two species of people, or more, when it comes to truth and interpretations of what is true, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyhow, but I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think what the case is that one person is bullshitting and the other person is not. You know, one person is being realistic and real. Hang on a second, I gotta do something. And the other person is not being realistic. My dog is hot. It's not even that hot yet, but he's already hot. Okay, he's got, you know, he's a chocolate Labrador. He has an undercoat. And can you imagine walking around Florida with a fur coat on all the time? That would just suck. It's been a roller coaster of a life lately, in the sense that it's just the future is so unpredictable, and you try your best to, you know, predict it, I guess. I don't anymore. I just try to be prepared. You know, I'm not into guns or anything like that, but as metaphorically, people say they look at the world through rose-colored glasses. Well, I like to say that. I look at the world through sniper-colored Sniper color. I fucked it up. People say that they look at the world through rose-colored glasses. I look at the world through rose-colored sniper scopes, because what I mean by that is that I'm prepared for the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. Okay, the other day, my friend sent me, this happens all the time, but the other day my friend sent me a video through the phone. And it was a video, he went to see a concert, and it was a video of the concert. And it was a video that he took with his phone at the concert. And he said, here, I'm going to send you a video of it. And in my mind, I was thinking, please don't. Why? Why was I thinking that? You know, you have to stop. Please stop. Stop sending people videos that you made with your phone. Try to look at it from the other person's perspective. The video is going to be shitty. It's going to be, the audio is going to be terrible, and the video is going to be terrible. And that's exactly what happened in this case. He sent me this video, and like all the other videos of people that send me like of concerts and stuff, or people that people upload online. Why are you even taking the video? It's going to look like shit. It's going to sound like shit. There's virtually no point. Maybe for you as a memento, you were there and you can recall the experience, but the other person, all they have is this shitty video. And I've had shows where the show is going great, and people make a video and then they send it to me through email or somewhere else online. And I remember when I was on Facebook, I think somebody got offended because they sent me like these 3 videos that they made, and I didn't post any of them, or I didn't re-share them, right? And I don't know why I thought that. It's been a while, but from what I remember, they were like put off by it. And the thing is, my show was going great, but the video was terrible. There was people walking in front of the camera, and the sound quality sounded like all like jumbled, like watery, the way that MP3 sound, like all. And so yeah, please stop doing that. There's no reason to do that. Can you do that? Maybe that could spread. Maybe this could be the beginning of where people stop doing that. No. But yeah, I'm gonna start telling people, hey, I'm just gonna start telling people, hey, that video looks like shit. They're gonna be like, what? That would be bad etiquette, wouldn't it? But it would be the truth. It would be honesty. You have to pick your times to tell the truth. You have to pick your battles when it comes to the truth. You have a truth quota, not a quota. You have a truth, what is it? Threshold, a truth. I can't find the word right now. Where you only have so many. You have a truth limit, right? Of how you can go around about the day just dispelling the truths of everything. Like, you can't walk up to somebody and be like, you're ugly. You can't walk up to somebody else and be like, you're bald, right? All these things may be true, but you have to pick 3, 2, maybe 1, truth per day that you're going to tell, right? I don't know. The truth for today, though, is that video looked like shit. And please, if you're my friend, just tell me about it. Tell me how awesome the concert was. I don't want to see the video. It makes me sad, because it makes me sad for the band, and it makes me sad for myself, because I have to sit there and watch this and be like, oh, I bet you that was awesome there where you were at. You know, it's like, man. I need you to relax. Go to your calm place. Whatever you're feeling, wherever you are, whatever is happening is perfectly okay. Whatever you think that you need to get to, you'll eventually get there. And let's say you don't. That's okay too. Because you'll be somewhere else. And wherever else that you'll be is okay too. Is it all part of God's plan? Is there a God? Is it part of any plan at all? Is there destiny? Is there fate? None of those things matter. You need to hold space and show up for yourself. And you can be a dick to whoever you need to be a dick to, as long as you're following your spirit. You can never do any wrong as long as you're following your spirit. So whoever thinks that you're being a dick to them, tell them, I'm just doing what my spirit says. But you know, where does the spirit come from? Which is the spirit? Is it your heart? Is it your mind? Is it both of them combined? Is this a poem like Dr. Zeus, something that I know him? Is it in your body? Is it all three of those combined? Is it your conscience? I would say that's probably closer to describing all of them combined as your conscience. So, if your conscience starts to bother you about what you've done or what you're doing to someone, simply find the right website and the right words to bypass any accountability or responsibility and sit calmly and listen to my voice and people who speak like me. Actually, it's pretty good, like when you listen to somebody talk like this. Of course I'm joking around. I'm joking around. Come on. Back to the meditation. Just remember that as long as you're following your spirit, you have permission to be a complete asshole. You can be materialistic in the name of divinity. You can be ruthless in the name of freedom. You can be whatever you need to be. Now, you are free. I was at a party and I was having a conversation with this British guy, and we were talking about the economy, and I don't know too much about the economy. I know as much as anybody else knows about the economy, which is nothing really. Anyhow, he was telling me how in his work, he travels a lot all over the world, and he's telling me how he sees China doing construction jobs all over the world. And it used to be other countries that he would see doing that. But anyhow, then we started talking about how he lives in Sacramento and how in every city that he goes to in the United States, there's like the gentrification thing going on. Coffee shops coming in, microbreweries, and people are building buildings for people to live in, housing. And the same thing is happening where I live, and the same thing is happening where he lives. And a lot of artists, we talked about how a lot of artists are being pushed out of the city centers. And I read an article on the Atlantic the other day about artists moving into the countryside now. So everybody's going to go back to the suburbs. The city breathed everyone in. Now it's going to breathe everyone back out. However, the construction companies are not acting that way. They're obviously behaving like there's a high-rise coming up near where I live, and there's another apartment complex coming up near where I live. Now, a little ways away, there are 2 new buildings, housing buildings, apartments, condos maybe. I think they're apartments for rent. And they're having trouble keeping those occupied as it is. So I'm like, who the hell is going to live here? I talked to one person. They told me, oh, yeah, people will definitely move in. And then I talked to this guy, who has more of the similar perspective that I do. And he goes all over the country, all over the world, really. And he says that he sees the same thing. There's like a lot of vacancy. So he told me that he thinks that big money is putting their money into real estate because the market is going to tank. And I've heard it said that like the second quarter of 2019 is, as far as the projection is given for making profit in the market. Is this boring or what? No? Good. Another thing that I was thinking about. So I don't know what you think about that, but it's kind of weird. I think it's really weird that they're building companies. They're building buildings for people to live in, and people are not necessarily moving into them, and then they're building more of those. As far as understanding the market, who understands the market? I don't know, except maybe a market maker, somebody who has a ton of money and can change things. And the only reason they understand it is because they're influencing it, and they have the capability to influence it. Another thing that I was thinking about is growing up Mexican American. Growing up and generationally, I'm 45 now. I don't know if that's old yet. That's definitely not young. No spring chicken. I guess I'm old now. So, another thing I was thinking about generationally and culturally, growing up, like I said, growing up Mexican American, to Mexican parents that don't speak English really, to this day, and growing up in the time that I grew up in, the differences that I've seen in relationships is remarkable. And what I'm referring to is the difference in the way that I felt around my family when I was a kid, in my neighborhood. I had an overall sense, anywhere that I went, I had an overall sense that I was taken care of. A neighbor would come over to borrow a cup of sugar. My mom might go to the neighbor to borrow an onion. Where I live now, that kind of thing doesn't happen. You're supposed to take care of yourself. It's a very isolated culture. I may have mentioned something like that, similar to that in the podcast before, I'm sure. But within the household, the relationships that I've had. Now, I'm not trying to be anti anything, really, but the difference in my personal experience from having relationships with Hispanic women and women of other cultures, Arab, and whatnot, Jewish. Okay, and then the American way, and here in the South, is night and day. And what I'm referring to is that in the white culture, in the American culture, in my relationships with women from this culture, I've experienced a relationship that is self-centered, like in a way that it is not with other cultures. And it's I'm sorry, my phone just rang. It's self-centered in a way that it's not with other cultures. And meaning that the relationships, even between siblings, is more adversarial. Even between spouses, it's more adversarial. There's a lot more me and mine and get mine and defend my territory and set up my boundaries. Whereas in the other relationships, that really wasn't a concern at all. I can't believe the amount of energy wasted in the bickering and in the back and forth for everyone trying to stake their claim. And it's sad, really, from my perspective. If you don't know any different, then it's not sad, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you're missing. And you don't know anything different. So there's nothing to compare it to. I've seen it with roommates. The dishes are an incredible point of contention in households, in American households, with roommates, with spouses. It is it's just an enormous thing. I don't remember anybody ever having an argument about the dishes. Maybe once or twice, I don't know. But I can't recall an argument in my whole growing up about the dishes. People just did them. And my mom often did them. My dad sometimes did them. My sister did them. I kind of did them. My brother sometimes did them. Everybody helped out depending on what was going on. But it's nonsensical. I think that it's hard to point out to where these kinds of things come from, the root of these things. Maybe there is no root for it all. But I know an influencer, like a thing that seems like it would make sense that it comes from, is capitalism. Capitalism, because capitalism benefits when people are divided. Capitalism benefits, even though you only use your lawnmower once or twice a week, capitalism benefits from everyone on your block having their own lawnmower, their own cable box, their own internet subscription in your building. Even though the same signal is traveling to the same building, everyone has their own modem, of course. And the list is endless in ways that capitalism benefits from separateness. But I've experienced this in relationships, and I would like to not have that again. I don't know if it's a cultural shift because of a generational shift, or I don't know if it's a cultural difference between cultures. Maybe it's both. Oh, there's something to think about.